What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of the Web Buzz Podcast, where the real talk about real estate marketing, and what's going on in the real estate industry is uncovered, discussed, and brought to the surface. We're going to call it. I'm really feeling this Joe Rogan style today. You got me excited for this episode. Folks, we got a completely different structure. This is all up Roger's realm, and I told him, I'm just going to guide the ship. I'm going to kind of be devil's advocate here and there. I'm going to really go Joe Rogan style and just kind of question some of the things that you're saying to drive home the point. So, but hey, welcome to this episode. We're trying something new too today, so completely out of the comfort zone of what we're used to.
Yeah, and it's not just me, right? It's actually a little bit of outside the comfort zone for you as well with this new podcast software. So it's pretty cool though. Liking it so far.
Absolutely. So before we get into today's episode, I'm going to make this quick announcement. I know I said a couple weeks ago that the show was sponsored by Lead Vault, and I kind of want to correct myself there. It's not sponsored. Folks, we're not taking sponsorships for this show, and here's why. I don't want anybody making money off of us. I want us to make money off of us so that we can get more money back in to helping those that we love to help. So that's why Lead Vault, REI Toolbox, and everything that we do here between Roger and I, we're the sponsors of our own show.
That's right. That's a good move right there.
So with that being said, who is Lead Vault CRM? It is hands down what I think is one of the best CRM and marketing softwares out there for the real estate industry. If you are tired of a CRM that really does nothing for you, like all these ones that are out there, and you're ready for a CRM that can actually build with you, grow with you, and scale with your business, then head over to leadvaultcrm.com, check out a little bit about it, schedule a demo. Let's get on, let's talk about it. Let's show you how it can help you grow all the things that you're doing in your real estate business. With that being said, we got a good episode today. We got something that's very controversial. I think I said that right.
You did. It's good pronunciation. I'm the one that usually has the problem, so I'm proud of you, Shawn.
Yeah, there's a few words, a whole side story here. There was a word when I was speaking like crazy on stages for that one company that I could never say the word. Picturesque? Picture. See, I can't even say it now.
That's a tricky one.
But controversial topic today. And it all stems around something that Google is doing. It's been a while since we've done a show where we got a little technical. But with that being said, there is something really big happening. There is a little bit of a shakeup. I'll let you be the one to decide and bring it to everybody today. Is it really a big thing that they need to pay attention to, or is it shaking it up there? But I know in our space, right, amongst other digital marketers and marketing experts out there, there's some controversy around it, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, whatever the case. But if you guys are paying attention at all to this, or if you're wondering why maybe some things might start looking a little different in the space, or why some things might be changing, this is definitely an episode that you want to listen to. So let's go ahead and get into it. Roger, why don't you break it down a little bit and let us know, what are we talking about here?
Sure. So today's topic is actually really important for those of you out there that are either working on your own digital marketing. Maybe you're doing all the content yourself, or maybe you're outsourcing, right? You have either an agency or an individual that's doing this type of work for you. Now, what exactly is it? If you're still a little confused, are they doing basically writing blogs for you? Are they writing service pages for you for your website, your online presence, right? Are they doing Google My Business post, right? Something like on your Google Business profile, there's an area where you can actually do posts a lot like blogs. Are they writing that type of content? So any type of content that goes on the internet, that goes on one of your assets, right? That represents your brand. And whether you're doing it or not, this particular topic today affects you. And we're going to talk about what it is, what it's not. We're also going to give you some recommendations, and we have some fun predictions as well for this particular thing. And what is it? It is the most recent algorithm update for Google, which is the helpful content update. So it's been a big buzz. I know a couple months ago, it kind of started when Google started mentioning that they were going to roll this out. And everybody started kind of wondering what exactly is it going to do, especially us marketers out there, right, that are creating all this content that's out there. What exactly is Google talking about, and how much of an impact is it
Is that
going to have?
really the name of this update? Like before, it was Panda, and some of these
Correct.
they had simple names for their updates. This one is literally called the Helpful Content Update.
Yeah, and sometimes they said that Google and all the big platforms out there that we utilize, they surprise us with simple names like helpful content update, right? It literally tells us what they're trying to go after and what they're trying to fix. So that's exactly what it is. I invite you to go do a Google search and look for the helpful content update algorithm. And you'll be able to find all kinds of information. There's a ton of YouTube videos out there at this point. It just took a couple weeks, Shawn. We're just kind of looking at this the other day, and we were thinking about, we've been putting a little bit of content around it as well. And what I notice is, everybody kind of jumps on this. It's something new, and right now it's still under the rollout. So they've done it. They always do these in phases. Okay, so one of the important things to know is that it's not going to hit at once, right? And what we're looking at here, and why it becomes extremely important, and why marketers in particular are it's very important for us to be aware of what that is. Not worried, but aware, right? So we can flex and shift and basically just pivot based on what the recommendations are from Google. Because at the end of the day, we're playing on their platform, right? It's their playground. So they make the rules, and to a certain point, we can follow them, but then we can find ways to improve them, go around them to a certain point, right? That's when you get into the conversation of white hat, gray hat, black hat, which we don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. But for this particular update, what is it? Let's start with that. What is it? So the helpful content update is basically Google's effort to focus on content on the Google index, to focus on people first. Okay. So the first thing that you should be looking at when it comes to your website or any content you put out there is your content focused on people first, right? The second thing that you need to look at when you're actually scanning your content, just kind of reading through it, is it helpful? At the end of the day, the name of the algorithm basically says it all. Is it helpful? Are you providing any value?
They really put thought into that one.
Right. It's very simple, and it's such a simple, and it's funny to the point where it's like so simple that it was surprising to me, like how much controversy, how much stress it caused within our space in the digital agency space, just because we write a lot of content. We all do. Go ahead, Shawn.
Yeah, you can finish that thought. And then I want to, before we go too deep into what it is, I want to come back to something that you just said.
Yeah, no. It's just kind of going into making sure that you're providing value. So those are the two things, that you're focused on writing content that's first for people, right? And then the second thing is that content, if you're speaking conversational, you're having a conversation, giving advice, things like that, it's first for people that people can understand. And number two, is it helpful? Are you providing some kind of value? Now, there is one step that I'll take it one step further on why they're doing this and why this effort, right? And these are all, you got to understand, these are all guesses. Google doesn't come directly out and tell us exactly what the reason is or whatnot. But what we're kind of thinking and what we're looking at is basically there's a lot of artificial intelligence platforms or AI platforms that can generate spin content. They'll take a blog and they'll spin it, and it basically makes no sense, right? It just changes a couple words and people put it out there, right? And there was too much of that out on the internet or out on Google's index. So this is their first effort to start cleaning that up. I'll stop there because there's a couple more points I want to throw in there, but I think Shawn had a comment there.
Yeah, I want to go back to, because I mean, when you say that, right, it's This is all about people first, which as a marketer, and on this show, we talk a lot about this. Who's your avatar? Who's your avatar? Who's your avatar? Right? So it's about people and it's about value. To me, that says it's about doing the right thing, doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. So is this really an update or is this a cleanup?
It's more of a cleanup, in our opinion, right? That this is a conversation that we're having internally in our agency. It's when we look at it and we look at the content that we're producing for ourselves and for our clients, all of it, everything that goes into it. There's research behind it. There's certain writing styles that we follow, and when we put it out there, it's stuff that obviously, if it wasn't helpful, if we don't think it's going to attract our clients, ideal clients, then why would we put it out there? And that's basically something that we're kind of looking at, and we're not too worried about it, right? We're just making sure that we do read the fine print when it comes to Google's kind of instructions, and that we continue to follow the rules.
So then, with that being said, where I wanted to go before we got too deep into really what it is, who needs to be on the alert, I guess we'll call it. Like, who's on the chopping block?
Yeah, so that's
for
still
something like this update.
Yeah, that's still to be announced. I'll be honest with you, it's still too early. The first thing, and this is where the predictions come into play, right? Who exactly is going to be affected? One of the things, it's now been, over a month, couple weeks, whatever it's been since they've been started to roll this out. And I've already started reading and watching a couple videos and reading a number of articles already on people that are testing this right from the start. There's hundreds, if not thousands of marketers out there that go and test all this stuff. And what we've seen in that data is that it's not really affecting a lot of the rankings. And even Google has come out that it's not completely going to affect the rankings as they roll things out, because this is their first phase. And at that point, we don't know how long it's going to be till their artificial intelligence bots, right, to scan all this is going to take to get to the point where we thought right out of the gate was going to happen, right? We thought many people were going to drop in rankings. All this terrible content that's out there was going to get, taken off the index. That's not happening. So where we're looking at it in regards to who should be watching out is we got to look at each other, right? We got to look in the mirror and see, have we been putting out helpful content for basically for our companies and our clients? And if we have, we can always go back and scan all that content, make sure that, maybe we missed something. Maybe we feel like we can add more effort. And I think it's more not a scare tactic, but an eye opener that Google's putting it out there of what their roadmap looks like, right? Again, I want to repeat that it's not a scare tactic. They really are looking to improve the content that's out there, because at the end of the day, they are a business. You got to understand that as well. If they put out in their index bad results, if I go to Google and I search for the best Mexican restaurant in Silver Spring, Maryland, and I get horrible basically results, right? It gives me, old results or stuff that doesn't exist. Then I'm probably not going to use Google anymore. I'm probably going to go to Bing or somewhere else, Yahoo, right? So Google's always looking to improve. And I think this is their first effort. So a lot of us marketers that produce a lot of content, we're paying attention. We're making sure that we're prepped for the next 10 years and that our clients are prepped for the next 10 years.
So if somebody only had 13 and a half minutes, because that's what we're at this moment, if they only had 13 and a half minutes to listen to this, is it safe to make a prediction that if you've been doing the right thing, leading with people first, value, right behind it, valuable information, true information designed at the avatar that you try to serve as a business owner, you should be pretty safe?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But is it also safe to make this prediction then, that if you haven't put much focus into this and you're just spitballing or putting whatever content is out there because that's what somebody told you to put out there, and you haven't been putting it people first and value as a big focus to it, there's a chance you might be in the hurt locker pretty soon?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where we get into kind of like what they call thin content or long form content, right? If you have thin content, basically you wrote maybe a paragraph, maybe 100 words trying to express a certain topic, when your competitor wrote a 2,000 word article, super detailed, right? With examples and case studies. Well, who do you think is going to rank? And what we find is that person that wrote 100 words starts complaining that, the game is rigged, when in reality, Google's just looking for the best possible result for the searcher, right? The end person. So that's what you need to look at when you kind of start writing this content. If you want to go back and do the audit or your own audit for your content, read it, do a Google search, see where you rank, and then look at your competition. And you'll kind of notice that Google's trying its best to actually give the best results possible.
Awesome. Well, you heard it right there, folks. If this is all the time that you had, 14, 15, 16 minutes worth, take a step, go, move on to what you got to move on to. Take a look at your stuff. And if you get this weird gut feeling right now that, you know what, I have no idea if my content is people focused and value driven, and I have no idea if I'm doing this the right way, then you might want to take a deeper look into it, or heck, reach out, and myself, Roger, we'll gladly get on, take a look at your stuff and let you know what we're thinking. And if you are in the wrong spot, we'll give you some solutions. We'll figure out how we can help you fix that. But if you got some time and you want to hang out a little bit longer here and you want to go deeper into this, Roger, go ahead and start to kind of tear this thing apart now and kind of give us more of the juice, so to say, and I'll be curious to see what predictions kind of come out of this.
Yeah, no problem. So one of the things that we want to, now that we kind of address what it is, right? Very simple update, but very powerful, right? Very powerful from Google's standpoint on what their vision and roadmap looks like. What is not, it's not an Armageddon. It's not content Armageddon, right? It's not going to destroy everybody. You're not going to see your rankings fall completely from this algorithm update. And we're seeing it. Now, will we see something different in a month? Well, 2 months, 3 months? Possibly, right? But right now, something that you need to probably do if you are kind of thinking, maybe I should go and review the content that my blog writer wrote. Let me go back and check that out. So one of the first recommendation that I'll do is definitely review your content, especially if you're not writing it yourself, right? Go back and make sure that you read it for grammar, spelling, make sure you can read it at the end of the day. And once you go through that, that's the simple part. The next thing is that you want to make sure that you don't have a ton of duplicate content within your site. What I mean, and I'm only speaking to one site, right? So if you go on your site and you have 2 pages that are targeting a very specific keyword, since we're talking real estate investors, say you're targeting, one of your areas. I just happen to be in Silver Spring, Maryland here. I'm targeting like We Buy Houses in Silver Spring, Maryland, and then I have 3 blogs that are also targeting the exact keyword, and my content on those pages, all those pages, is very similar. It's all targeting that keyword. You need to probably get rid of all those pages except one. Pick one, the one probably that's ranking the best, and leave that one, because now you have competing pages. So that's a simple way to start kind of auditing your own website and making sure you're doing that. Now, doesn't mean you can't go after similar keywords. It's okay to write blogs about, the bankruptcy process and how, if you're looking to sell your house because you're going through the bankruptcy process, how we can help. That's a blog topic that can interlink with that We Buy Houses in Silver Spring, Maryland page, right? So those are simple things that you can do. The other thing is, if you find that your blogger is directly basically taking content word for word and putting it on your blogs, right? Basically taking content for another website, putting it on yours and not changing anything. Not that you're going to get, now this is controversial, the Google penalty. We all have our opinions around that, but not that you're going to get penalized or taken off the index or whatnot. But what's going to happen is whoever wrote that first is probably going to get the higher rankings. At the end of the day, that's where I'm going to leave it. It's basically, you're just not going to do that. So you're going to have to make some changes, add some value, some case studies, or, some testimonials, your own viewpoint to that article to make it rank a little better than your competition. Okay. So those are the different things.
It goes to the days of, there were some people out there teaching, find a really good blog or find something that's ranking really well, copy, paste it, post it to your own self, and just cite it and give it credit. Sounds like that ain't going to work anymore.
That hasn't worked in a while. And just with this update, the simplest version of this update is absolutely going to affect those type of blogs. So you definitely don't want to do that. Now, one thing that I do want to point out on the positive side, if you're like, oh my God, this particular person has very similar content than me, that this particular algorithm will not or at least that we've seen so far, will not affect if you have very similar content than somebody else, but you're in a different city. It's very geo-targeted keywords as well that are going to be safe. So, if you have very similar content, talking about a certain city, right, that you buy houses in a certain city, but that content is also being used in a different location, then those, again, it's a little bit of a discussion, or basically everybody has their own thoughts, but we haven't seen any effect. So it's geo-targeted. As long as you're using that for a different city, you should be okay as well. But at the end of the day, guys, to Shawn's point, it's doing the right thing. It's good to have guidance. It's good to have very similar content, because we're all trying to possibly provide the same service, but you also have your own experience and expertise. So the simplest way that you can make your content unique is by adding those things, your expertise, your case studies, and even throwing in there a couple of the reviews based on the service that you're talking about.
It also sounds like you're saying less is more in some instances, right? I know in the past it was like, because we've talked about this on the show a couple times, the silo structure, and you've got the city page, and you've got this arsenal of content driving back to that, to it. Not that goes away. I'm saying when I say less is more, it's not, hey, I need 5 pieces of content that all really say the same thing, just saying it's slightly different to help saturate, right, the space. I can get one really, really good piece of content out there, and I don't need 5 mediocre pieces.
Exactly. So you want to basically build that strong page, even the word count. I know there's been a lot of push in the past in regards to how many words are on the article. One of the things that this particular update, what we're looking at and still testing, right, is the fluff in articles. If you're just putting fluff in, all that stuff, even though you might have 3,000 words, most of that content that's in there, those words are actually being ignored. So in reality, it's only counting the important and helpful content that's in there. So your 3,000 word article might be only getting credit for 500 words.
That would just. I'm glad I'm not writing our content and our team's writing it. Deanna jokes about that all the time. She's like, "You're the only one that I know that can take a sentence and make it a paragraph, or make a paragraph, a research paper." Because I'm really good. That's how I got through writing class in school.
Setting the fluff.
I had to write 1,000 words. Well, I wrote about 200 words and just kept repeating them to get to the 1,000.
Oh man!
So that would definitely hurt.
Oh yeah, we're gonna keep you out of the content team.
Oh, trust me,
meeting.
I'm all for that one.
Just send over your orders; you'll be fine. But no, it's at the end. I think one of the big closing remarks, I guess, that we should put out there in regards to the predictions, what we're looking at, and how we're treating this internally, right? Is that it is not an Armageddon. So what we know that now with the data that we have, we'll continue to monitor that. If things change, we'll be definitely reporting that on this podcast. But one of the things that we're doing, we are setting guidelines. We're improving our guidelines on how we're writing our content as well. And some of the content that just is informational content that all our clients should have, right? There's a lot of topics that are very, very similar. What we're doing, we're creating guidelines, basically outlines on how our writers approach that piece of content to make sure it has its own twist and uniqueness for a certain location that our clients are actually targeting. So I kind of recommend for you guys, if you're doing it on your own, to do something similar. Make sure that you're adding something unique to that. And again, I go back, it's nothing very hard. It's your experience, your expertise, and a couple case studies, and you should be okay.
I know you keep saying it's not the Armageddon. I kind of wish it was.
That's what we thought it was.
I kind of wish it would wipe out some of these platforms that are out there that just have thousands and thousands and thousands of the exact same template with a different color. It could just wipe them out. But even though we say it's not an Armageddon, and that's probably not going to, who knows? That could change. That could change. Be the next.
It can change. We're talking today. We're talking
exactly.
Based on the information that we have today, and the articles that we've kind of been seeing, the tests that we've been seeing, and just the data that's coming back, it's not having a big impact. What it's doing is really rolling out the vision, the roadmap for Google and what they're trying to do. And I think from our standpoint internally here, we're liking it. We like the direction Google's going. We like their effort. And we're going to continue to adjust and make sure that our clients and our own agency, right, content is done in the correct fashion to be able to speak to our target audience and also provide value.
Which we've done that from day one. So
correct.
That's why I don't think we're stressing this too much, because, and that's kind of the point that I want to bring up is, if you're working with a reliable company, or you're working with a reliable individual who's producing this content for you, and it is truly focused the way marketing should be focused, and that is avatar centric first, right? Providing value. So people and value leading the way, and not just to, stuff 100 freaking keywords into a sentence to try to jam up the algorithm and manipulate it, then you should be perfectly fine. There shouldn't be anything to stress. I think the people in our space that we're hearing in panic mode is because they've relied completely on what you kind of opened up with, and that was, hey, I got a software and I can just spin, churn, and burn. And now it's like, oh crap, I'm about to get the Google slap, and I got to reevaluate, kind of redevelop the way that I take care of my clients, or take care of the way that I produce content, on my stuff. Those are the people that I think are probably going to see a bigger impact more quickly, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the data comes back. I don't want to say it's completely clean, that everybody is safe. To your point, Shawn, I'm speaking to all of us that are out there creating content, trying to do the right thing, right? Trying to write unique content and doing our best to optimize with the tools that are available, doing our keyword research, right? And still doing the competitive thing in regards to, what is Google awarding, and how can we take what our competitors doing and do it better, right? But with the mindset of providing value first, right? Speaking to our client, providing value. I'm not even bringing the conversation of the really bad content that's out there, because data does come back that there was a number of things, part of some of the reports that I saw, and it was marketers that are purposely testing and doing these things, putting websites that have horrible content, and just they use spinners just to see what happens. And those reports are very clear. Those are automatically dropping. So there is data out there of the actual kind of the very, very bad content that it's obvious that Google is right away taking off, which is great for us, the agencies, and those of you that are doing on your own, that are trying to do it right, because that competition that's in front of you, that's super frustrating, because you click on their link and you read their content, you're like, man, my stuff is 10 times better or more, right? This stuff doesn't even make sense. And then you look at their link portfolio, if you're using some kind of SEO tool that tells you a little more about the data behind the website, and you see that they have thousands of these links, and that's the only reason why they're sitting there. Maybe they have some historical, right, time, right, on the internet more than you, and that's why they're sitting there. That competition is slowly going to start dropping. That is the conversation that I can bring, that those guys will get affected, and we're seeing it already. It's the rest of us that are trying to do the right thing and kind of a little worry about, whoa, is there something Google's not telling us? What are we doing wrong? What should we be adjusting? But at the end of the day, from the foundational piece, we're trying to do everything right, and writing good content, helpful content for our end user.
Awesome. Anything you want to add before we wrap up?
The only thing that I would kind of close here, just get out there and really take this serious. I know I'm very loosely, right, we're bringing it up and trying to kind of make sure people don't freak out, and that this is going to be the end of your website because you have you think you have a lot of duplicate content, you're not sure. At the end of the day, do your due diligence, read your content. And then you make the decision whether it's helpful or not. Because if you're the one saying that it's not helpful after you read it, then there's probably something wrong. You should actually start making some adjustments to it. But if you read it and you're pretty happy with it, maybe it's not 100%, then leave it alone. Keep going. Make sure you audit your entire website, right? And then you start going back and maybe adding some value to the other ones. If you find that you haven't been looking at your content and you've been outsourcing it, and does not make sense, you're not happy that it's representing your brand that way, then it's time to make some moves, because those are the ones that are going to get affected. And what you'll find if you are using an agency that's creating bad content and you're ranking well is because your link portfolio is probably pretty stacked. And at the end of the day, if they're cutting corners on the content, your link portfolio is going to affect you too, because they might be building what's called toxic links. So at the end of the day, that can drop your rankings as well. So I'll leave you with that, a little bit of homework to start looking at this, and make sure that you help yourself by checking out your website and that you're not getting affected by this helpful content update.
100%. And if you guys are looking through that, like I said before, and you're confused, you're not sure, or you just want to better understand, like, hey, how can I make sure that I keep going forward in the right direction? Or maybe you're the one that's like, I'm not putting out any content, and this sounds like I'm going to really get handcuffed because I got nothing out there, which means I'm never going to get anything ranked.
That's a whole different story.
It is. Then definitely reach out. Head over to reitoolbox.com. Book yourself a strategy session. We'll get on. That's why it's called a strategy session, not a sales call. It is a strategy session for a reason, folks. We want to get on. We'll strategize with you. And at the end of the day, if you leave the call with nothing more than a clear blueprint on what you need to do to move forward, start achieving the goals that you're trying to go, then that is a win for us. That's what we want to see. And if it works out and you decide, hey, I want you guys to take care of some of this stuff for me, well, we can talk about that. All right. But at the end of the day, we want to get on. We want to strategize with you. And we want to make sure that you got the right information, you're being guided the right way, and you're armed to take your real estate business to the next level. So upcoming weeks, we do have some fun episodes coming in the future here. We've got a couple of our other family members, clients of ours. I say other family members because one of them, I joke, she's my oldest little sister. She's mad that she's older than me, but I look at her like a little sister. We got her coming up in a couple weeks. I won't say the name just yet. And then we got another individual who's an absolute rock star and doing something really, she's another one, kind of like Chris and Sal a couple weeks ago. She's another one that's taken a industry and found a niche within the side of a niche and is really starting to dial some things in. And she's going to come on to talk a little bit about what's going on in that space, more predominantly in the notes world in real estate, and how marketing in and around that note stuff and just some of the growth that she's been seeing over the last about the last year or so. So got some fun episodes coming up in the future. As always, Roger and I love to get on and talk. I had to give him this episode. That's why we call him the Google Nader, folks. He probably memorized every tiny little detail about this update.
At this point, I've read through every hidden fine print, so that's why I was try to simplify it, not to go too deep, because there's a ton of stuff out there that doesn't apply to most people, and wanted to kind of make sure that we bring it to you guys the simplest way possible. And hopefully it was helpful.
And that's why we have him as the Google Nader on the team. But until next week, till the next episode, we'll talk to you guys soon. And as we say all the time, here's to your success.